So I was wondering if I could tell you about the time I robbed a bank while I'm out here fishing. Here about 7 years ago, back in January 2012, I've been going through a pretty rough spot in life. I dropped out of college, didn't have a good steady job, was really feeling kind of defeated because I just didn't know where I was or where I was going in life, and it drove me. It bugged the fool out of me. And I just knew I wanted my life to change. I wanted it to be different. But I didn't know how to go about doing it. Just to give you some background, I came up, in church, had a great family, have a great family who taught me to do the right things, to do right. I was just at a point of kind of rebellion in my life, and I was at a point where I felt like, I just needed to do something drastic to create change. So this kind of idea just popped in my mind one day. I walked in a bank and I saw some money sitting on a counter in the bank, and some people will say you shouldn't even tell this, you shouldn't tell your story like this, but I'm doing it anyway. This is my story, and God has blessed me through this, even through this foolishness. So I'm telling it anyway. I'm giving full disclosure here. But anyway, I walked in this bank, and being in the state of mind that I was in at that point in time in my life, whenever I walked in and I saw this money sitting on the counter behind the bank, I said, man, that's all I need right there. That's all I need is some money, and it's right there. I could just reach over there and grab that and be gone. So I did. I didn't do anything that particular day. I didn't do a thing. But the seed was planted. That idea was there in my mind. So for about a month and a half, I just pondered that thing. And I didn't tell anyone. Um, Note here. That's why it's important to always have some people in your life that hold you accountable, some people that you can really be open and honest and transparent with. I've got a few good friends like that, and I'm so grateful for them at this point in my life. I'm so grateful for them. But I didn't have that at that point in time, not to the degree that I do now. So anyway, I thought about this thing and thought about it, and eventually, month and a half later, I decided to act on it. Again, I didn't really tell anyone about it. I kind of mentioned it to some friends jokingly. Um, didn't really want them to talk me out of it, so I didn't really give it to them in a way that was sincere. Uh, but it was really on my heart. It was on my mind. So anyway, I figured out the perfect location, the perfect time. I figured out all these different things. Um, and I worked up the courage to do it. I woke up on this particular Saturday morning, and I told the young lady that I was dating at the time, "Hey, look, I'm about to go. I'll see you a little later." And I left the house that day, and I didn't go back. I went out and all right. So here's the deal. I haven't really told anybody this, or kind of tell you how the frame of mind I was in. I actually went. Goodness, I almost hit myself in the face. Um, I actually had this particular bank in mind that I wanted to target, and so stupid. Um, the day that I went, I didn't really pay attention to the hours, open and close hours. I didn't pay close enough attention to it because at the time that I went, or that I worked up the courage to do it, this particular bank was closed. This is the truth. That's the truth. Can I be honest? That particular bank that I made out this plan and figured out a getaway plan and all this kind of stuff was closed. So I couldn't do it. And sadly enough, that wasn't enough to stop me because this thing was fixed in my mind. The scripture that talks about um, letting the mind, well, the idle mind. God, I'll get that reference in a minute. But anyway, every second I got, I just kind of thought about this thing. But anyway, I convinced myself that I'm doing this today regardless. So I had a backup plan. I had this other bank in mind, and I went and scoped it out, and I knew a couple of things about it. I knew this was a location that was in a kind of a high traffic area, so I felt confident that I could get out of the area without being detected. I also knew that this was a place that didn't have security available, and this is not a checklist for things to rob a bank. Obviously, it didn't work. I went to prison for a few years behind this. But anyway, I knew that this particular bank didn't have armed security there. I knew that they didn't have a lot of traffic as far as customers in the bank, and I knew that their staff was very, very minimal. So I went forward. Here's the crazy thing. I had so many opportunities where I could have walked away from this, all right? But I set my mind on doing this particular thing. That's why the mind must be protected. We have to guard our minds and our hearts. I went out. I got somebody walking up. Hold up. All right, so I'm back. I don't need everybody in my business. Anyway, they may be coming back there in a minute, but I just wanted to, anyway, mess with some people for a minute. So yeah, here we go. I had all these opportunities to walk away from this situation. The most important one, though, was the very moment that I walked up to the bank. Whenever I walked up to the bank, I remember reaching out to the door, or looking at the door, and looking up away from the bank and said, okay, you can keep walking right now and walk smooth away from this situation and never have to, think about this. You haven't done anything wrong at this point. You can walk away and be done with it. Instead, I looked at the door handle, reached out for it, and said, "It." You fill in the blank what that word is before it. But that's what I said. And at that moment, I was all in. So I remember walking into this place, and as soon as I walked in, I looked over to my right, and I think it had to have been the bank manager or something. Some young lady was sitting in the office, and she never really looked up and saw me. The crazy thing is I was fully covered at this time. Like you couldn't see any of my features at all. I walked in, and she never looked up. I walked back to the back of the bank, and as I was approaching the counter, a young lady came around from the drive-through teller banking side, and she saw me. At this very time that she saw me, like, I'm jumping up on the counter of the bank. Hold on. All right, had to dig out a better lure. This little guy ain't really getting the job done in here. So yeah, the very moment I jumped up on the counter, this young lady comes around and she looks up and she just lets out a yelp. She kind of like that. Not much louder than that at all. Just kind of a yelp. And I proceed to demand some money, demand that she give me the money, and I hand her this little bag. She fills it up. I remember telling her everything was gonna be okay. Just give me the money and it'll be okay. So she did. She gave me what I asked for. Now, I want to note here that I didn't have a gun. I didn't have a real gun. I had no intention of harming anyone. Quite honestly, throughout this whole ordeal, I put myself in the danger. I never really put anyone else in any significant danger, just by the way it played out. And I'm not saying that to brag on me. What I did was stupid, period. But I've forgiven myself, and if you choose to judge me behind that, take a look at you, not me. Anyway, there's that. So the young lady gave me the money that I demanded, and I jumped back over the counter. Now here's the crazy part. As I jumped back over the counter, the other young lady who'd been in the office before, the bank manager presumably, had walked up. Oh my goodness, my hat's about to go in the water. All right, I got it. The other lady had walked up to my location where I was, and she looked at me, As I'm jumping over, now I'm jumping over the counter. I'm fully covered. I got on all these clothes. I got sunglasses, hat, mask, all this kind of stuff. I'm fully covered. All right. She looks at me and says, "Can I help you?" And it kind of tickled me in that moment. I'm being honest. I'm laughing about this now. It was not funny in the moment, and it's still not necessarily funny. It's just kind of humorous to think about what was really going on. Um, so I said, "No, ma'am, everything's fine. Thank you. Have a nice day." That was my response to this. Oh my goodness. So look, I start heading out of the bank, and I get about halfway to the door, and I realize it hit me like a ton of bricks. You just messed up in the worst possible way. You just ruined your life. Let me tell you something. I've never experienced a fear like that before in my life. I don't ever want to experience it again. I had never been so terrified and just lost than I was in that moment. All I knew was get away. So I started making my exit. I ran out of the bank, started running down this little street that's beside the bank. I found a tree line to go like start trying to pull some of this stuff off so I look like a regular person again. And I ducked down in some trees and started pulling this stuff off. The funniest thing happened. This guy that I didn't know, this random guy starts walking by, and he sees me down in the bushes. Have you ever seen the movie Friday? You ever seen the movie Friday? There's a scene where Smokey, one of the main characters, is having some stomach issues, but he can't get in his house, so he goes over on the side of his house with a newspaper, and one of the local neighborhood fix-it men, we'll call him that, Ezel, sees Smokey on the side of his house relieving himself, and Ezel, starts kind of yelling out, "Smokey, you all right back there? Everything all right?" Well, the same kind of thing happened to me. I'm in this tree line. I'm trying to get out of all this stuff, and this random guy that I don't know, I've never seen before. That's the difference there. This guy starts yelling at me, "Hey man, you all right down there? Everything all right? What's going on?" Now, mind you, this is moments, like seconds after I just robbed this bank. Okay. I don't want this guy getting caught up in this stuff. I don't want this to happen at all. That's not my heart. That's not my intention. So I'm telling him to like, get out of here, man. Go and go. Now, at the same time, I'm hearing sirens. Now, here's the crazy thing. All right, like when you've committed something, act like this, and I didn't realize it, I didn't know this. There is no fear or panic that I've ever experienced like that of hearing sirens in the background, knowing that you just did something really dangerous, something really stupid, and these police officers, this law enforcement is coming for you. They're coming for you. They were coming for me, and I knew it, and it freaked me out. All right, but meanwhile, I got this guy over here asking me, "Am I okay?" Trying to help me or something. Dude, get out of here. All right. So I finally, after 3 or 4 times of begging him to leave, he finally walks off. But he's still kind of looking over his shoulder. I'm hearing sirens getting closer and closer, and I'm wanting to get away. So finally, when he gets away, he walks off. I get out, drop all the stuff that I needed to drop, and I start making my way to the vehicle, which was parked a little ways away. As I'm running, I'm exhausted. The adrenaline is just draining me. I remember collapsing at the back of the vehicle. As I finally got to it, I like fell down to the ground and had to crawl to the driver's door of the vehicle. I finally get in this thing, and I start trying to make my way out of the area. There's a big bird flying over, big mechanical bird flying over. Excuse that guy. I started finally making my way out of the area. So the first thing I did was I pulled on this mall parking lot, and I had this idea of going into the mall and just kind of buying some time, getting out of clothes or whatever, changing clothes, and making my way out of there. All right, here's the crazy thing. I pulled on the mall parking lot, and before I could get out of the vehicle, a police car pulls up behind me. And I stop, and I just kind of sit there for a minute. I didn't really do anything. I didn't make any sudden movements at all. I just kind of sat there. I'm looking at him through my rearview mirror. Well, the officer sat there for a few seconds, and then he pulled off. No lights on or anything. Just pulled up and pulled off. So now I'm thinking, okay, I just need to go ahead and get out of the area. I'm too panicked to go in to even get out of the vehicle. My heart's racing. So I take off down the street. As I'm going down the street, my girlfriend at the time calls me, and she's trying to figure out what's going on, but she can hear in my voice that there's a problem, there's something wrong. So she's panicking and kind of stressing and trying to figure out what's happening. But I can't really tell her at this time because I'm looking for ways out. I'm looking to get out of here. Um, so I keep going, and I tell her, hey, babe, I'll call you back, and I hang up the phone. Well, as I'm doing that, I look in my rearview mirror, and I see the cars behind me are getting over as if there's an emergency vehicle coming. I see them all getting over, kind of merging over to the right. I don't see the police car at this time, but I saw what they were doing, and I figured I'd do the same thing. So I did. I merged over just like they did. Police car, shoom, shoots right by me. I can't make this up, y'all. This is my life. This is actually happening. Police car shoots by me. Shoom. In this very moment, I'm thinking, oh, wow, they really don't know who they're looking for. Wow. So I start making my way out of the area. I get down the street a little bit more, and I'm at this point where I can get on the interstate or I can continue on into the town. And I want to get on the interstate, but there's a cop sitting right there at this intersection. And I don't want to turn in front of this cop for whatever reason. I don't want to turn in front of him. So I didn't. I kept straight and passed right by him. He never moved. I get to another intersection and I'm waiting at a light, and I see this police car come shooting by. Shoom. And he kept going. So I'm like, okay, I might actually get away with this thing. I make a left. He's going back to my right. I make a left and start going down the street. As I get down the street, I think about this particular trail. There's a trail, a bike trail through the town. And I figured if I could get out of the vehicle and get on this bike trail and start walking, I could ditch the money, I could ditch everything, come back for it later on. They really won't know how to locate me. That's kind of my thought process. So I start to turn into these apartments. And as I turn into the apartments, I made a left into the apartments. I look in my rearview mirror, and there's a police car behind me all of a sudden, but no lights on. So I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? I immediately make another left. So at this point, it looks to the officer like I'm doubling back, like I'm going back in the same direction I just came from. He throws his lights on. It's over, and I know it. It's over. I know it. Plain as day. I turn off stop the vehicle, put it in park. The guy gets out. He's behind me. He starts yelling out commands to, turn off the vehicle, throw the keys out, put your hands out the window. And all I can remember screaming was, please don't shoot. I will not resist. I will not run. I will comply. Just repeatedly yelling this out. Seconds later, more officers pull up and they kind of head me off. They park in front of me. And there's, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many of them it is. All I know is this looks like a situation where I could get killed real fast. And I've never been in a situation like this, but I can tell I might get shot here. And I didn't want that. So I just wanted to make it abundantly clear to them that, look, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to do anything any more stupid than I already have. I yelled at them and did everything. They told me to throw the keys out the window. I threw them as far as I could throw them. They eventually arrest me, and the officer that actually stopped me was the very first person to start encouraging me, to start ministering to me, and helping me to see that I wasn't a bad person, that I could come back from this. This guy told me that, he'd been on the police force for 12 years. He knew bad guys. He'd arrested a lot of them. He said, you're not a bad guy. He said, I don't know what pushed you to this extreme today. I don't know what caused you to do this. And I hate it for you, but you can come back from this. And let me tell you something. That little bit of encouragement in this dark moment of my life was enough to get me going in the right direction. And I'm so grateful for him to this day. We've now become friends. He and his wife are great people. His daughter, they're just great, phenomenal people, and I'm so grateful for him. And I'm gonna have him on this show to tell this same story from his perspective. It's mind blowing. Okay, it is so trippy to think about. Uh, the thing is, some people would say maybe you shouldn't talk about all this, maybe you shouldn't share all this and all that. Listen, my God brought me through all of that. He preserved me through all of that. He's given me everything that I need to survive and to overcome all of that. He's already given it to me day in and day out. I'm not relying on a job. I'm not relying on what other people may say or feel about this. I'm relying on him just like I relied on him to get me through that moment and through the 5 years of prison and everything since. All right. So in telling this, I'm trusting more in God than I am in how people may respond to it, who may like it or who may dislike it. And that's, family, friends included. I love each and every one of you, but God gave me this story to tell for His glory. It's not about me. It's really about helping other people to see that regardless of what you've done, how foolish of a choice you've made, you can come back from it, and God still loves you. Like, there's still a place for you, and you can still do the work that He has for you. You can still live up to your full potential. You can still walk in purpose. Um, but you got to be willing to be honest, be open, and tell it like it is. So that's my plan here. That's what this channel is all about. I look forward to getting more and more of my family and friends and just various leaders and various people from different walks of life to sit down with me on the water and tell their stories, tell how they've overcome adversity, tell how they approach their success, how they failed, how they've come across problems and develop solutions, and talk about their faith and their vision for their lives and their perspectives. I want to talk about all of these things while doing some fishing. And although I haven't really fished in this video. This was really more of an introduction to kind of tell you who I am, what I'm about. All right. So hopefully you get a picture of who I am, who Eric Watts is, and I promise you, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this channel. I'm so excited about this. This is something that the Lord laid on my heart a couple of weeks ago. Through a very special lady, and I'm so grateful for her for putting this into perspective for me. Um, but this is a part of my purpose. This is a part of my ministry. It's just being another term for opportunity or way of serving. This is something that I have to do for the betterment of the community of people around me, here locally as well as internationally, globally. So as you watch this video, I hope that you like it, share, subscribe to the channel, give me some comments, tell me what you think, tell me some stuff that you want to talk about. Let's deal with some stuff and let's be real. All right, don't fake the funk. And I promise you, it's springtime, and I'm so anxious to catch some crappie. All right, I love all different types of fish, but crappie are just my absolute favorite to catch. So here in the next week or two, we're gonna catch some crappie, and we're gonna video it, and we're gonna have some good conversation in the process. And I'm excited about it. This right here, this setup right here, is gonna catch some crappie. All right, I guarantee you. We got some good jigs that we'll put on these little things right here, these little jig heads. But for now, just stay tuned. Keep us in your prayers, and like and subscribe, yo. Check it out.